Hello everyone, welcome to Strange Movies. Today I will summarize a movie called Red Sparrow. It's a 2018 action thriller film about a Russian spy using her body to entrap CIA agents. Please subscribe and like the video if you want to watch this kind of videos. Nika is her name, and she used to be a gorgeous ballet dancer who was always in the middle of the stage. She should have had a bright future, but she broke her leg on the spot due to her partner's fault. She was able to walk again following surgery, but she could never perform on stage. To make matters worse, the theater supplied her and her chronically ill mother with an apartment. But the theater is now taking back the apartment from them. Nika's life went from heaven to hell due to the hefty cost of her mother's medical care at a time when she was anxious for a future. Her home was discovered by her uncle, who hadn't seen her since her father died many years before. He offered to assist Mika and informed her of the facts. It was not an accident that the stage accident occurred. To allow his fiancée to entirely replace Nika's position, the male partner teamed up with another dancer. He purposefully caused this accident, which irrevocably affected Nika's life. Nika became enraged and resolved to exact vengeance, despite the fact that she now has crutches to walk. But it didn't stop her from defeating these two evildoers. The two who worked out in the locker room were severely bruised. Her mother fainted in the bathroom unsupervised at home. The original nanny was recruited by the theater, but the theater no longer wants to pay for her services. Her mother's mobility was cruelly taken away by the nanny. Nika has no choice but to seek help from her uncle, a Russian intelligence officer. Nika's mother will continue to receive the best medical treatment and attention as long as she helps her uncle woo others and collect information, according to uncle. Nika had no choice but to consent due to the pressures of life. Nika arrived to the scheduled location, dressed in the designated clothes and with delicate makeup, as per uncle's directions. In her opinion, all she had to do was go close to the individual and find a way to spy on his cell phone. The mission would then be performed successfully, as was to be anticipated. Nika's unique personality drew the target person's attention right away. In a few sentences, the man desired to return Nika to the hotel and even attempted to forcibly invade her, until the attacker outside arrived and murdered the elderly man, Nita, who was witnessing his first murder. In a hurry, she dressed herself and was whisked away by a killer on a motorcycle. She never imagined things would turn out this way. Nika, who was bright, recognized that her uncle had deceived her. Her uncle, as expected, presented her with two options. First, join an intelligence service and work as a spy. Second, after being slain as an eyewitness, Nika had no choice but to join the group, knowing that her daughter would be separated from her for some time. Her mother was well aware that her uncle had harmed her in some way. She cautioned Nika against putting everything in. Nika was moved to an inspiring training school after a heartbreaking goodbye to her mother. Nika's code name is Red Sparrow, and she is not authorized to divulge her true name online. Here, they must learn to analyze human desires and weaknesses in addition to regular training, running, shooting, lock-picking, and other vital skills. These girls' ultimate goal is to be trained as outstanding erotic spies, which necessitates them watching pornographic videos every day, stripping in public, and seducing each other. They've all been told that your body is the organization's property. To ruin everyone's shame and self-esteem, every girl must learn to sacrifice her body for her purpose. In terms of organization, the girls are also asked to assist active duty soldiers. They only need to be emotionless machines. Many people mentally collapse after a long period of unusual training. Nika persisted to the finish, and the teachers praised her as the best in the organization because of her strong resolve. Nika was given her first task right away. Her uncle informed her about John, an American spy. He had been invading Russia for quite some time before being caught and deported. However, the informant he left in Russia was never discovered. The only information available to the group is that the informant is a high-ranking Russian official. To find out who this individual is as soon as possible, Nika only needs to approach John as a regular person and ask him about the informant's name. Nika was given a new identity when she came in the United States. Lola, her assigned roommate, was also a spy. Mika discovered that John was particularly fond of blondes, according to the information provided by the organization. He also enjoys swimming at a set hour to get closer to John. Nika wore a sultry bikini and bleached her hair blonde. She was in the right place at the right time when she walked past him. John did, in fact, see her right away. A straightforward greeting was laced with cautious questioning. Nika did not divulge any more information hastily and drove away. In fact, as a skilled spy, John has long been aware of this stunning woman who follows him around. Through the swimming card information and her uncle, who was an intelligence officer despite his superior's advice to be careful, he discovered Nika's true identity. As a single middle-aged man, though, John was readily sucked in. He even attempted to persuade Nika to join him. In truth, Nika had anticipated all of this because she had obtained her swimming card under her true identity at a sophisticated cocktail party, and the two had reconnected with their own thoughts. Nika is unafraid to admit that she is a spy. During the talk, they put each other to the test while keeping their secrets hidden. Nika follows John home late at night. She was well aware that John had exposed himself in order to protect his source. Nika kisses him on her own initiative, but John restrains his desire at the crucial moment. Nika refused to be persuaded and rushed away because her task was not advancing. Her uncle visited her at home and begged her to expedite the procedure. Otherwise, Nika would face retaliation from the organization. Nika had no choice but to reveal her roommate's secret in order to get by. She unintentionally observed her roommate staying with key American officials at the reception. She dashed home before her roommate returned, used her exceptional unlocking abilities to unearth all of the information her roommate had amassed over the years. Uncle was ecstatic when he saw Nika's additional rewards from her mission. Nika had not anticipated, however, that she would be using her roommate's accomplishments to delay. Her roommate, on the other hand, was slain because she was useless. When the organization disintegrated, Nika witnessed its cruelty. She needs to make plans for herself. John, who repeatedly tried to persuade Nika, became the only person with whom she could discuss her despair. She informs John about everything that has happened to her in the last 6 months. If she became his comrade, John promised her that, unlike the Russian organization, he would never employ severe techniques to handle members. Whenever he was needed, he would speak out for himself. Nika was effectively plotted after their in-depth communication. John took Nika to meet with his CIA colleagues the next day. Nika revealed that the high-ranking American official was a Russian snoop. She also stipulated that the U.S. side deposit US $250,000 into an account she specified. Nika then pretended to be her roommate's replacement and contacted high American officials, thereby obtaining the critical information required by the Russians. Then, under the guise of testing their legitimacy, she secretly exchanged the CD. Mika managed to deceive the Russian Secret Service. The top American official went out and was immediately encircled by American operatives, resulting in a car crash. In a state of panic, Nika, who was in charge of the interaction, became the major object of suspicion since Russian operatives were studying the scene not far away and discovered this abnormality. Nika stopped John from saving her when he discovered anything was wrong. She was taken into a small dark room and subjected to a variety of tortures. Nita insisted over and over that she had not betrayed the organization to scare her. On the screen, a video of her superior deemed shot emerged. Despite her concern, Nika stated that she did not lie because this is the only way she can entirely eliminate the organization. The gun at the back of her head, thankfully, was not loaded. Nika's execution was constantly monitored by her uncle. Nika always informed him with hard eyes that she had not betrayed the organization when he tried to make her disclose the truth. Nika was finally freed from her scars, thanks to her strong willpower. She ultimately gritted her teeth and persevered, despite the fact that the encounter had left her thoroughly dissatisfied with the organization. She despised her uncle so much that she covered the wound in thick cosmetics and arranged for her to remain hidden. John held Nika warmly with a heavy heart as he saw her return unharmed. They practiced together for the first time in days, despite the fact that they hadn't seen each other in days. When Nika awoke, though, John had vanished. He was strangled by a Russian assassin in order to deceive the assassin for a short time. Nita has a serene expression on her face. John's wrists and feet were tied to the chair, and he was repeatedly tormented by electric shocks. Mika held all of her feelings in her heart. She is well aware that she is unable to reveal anything at this time, and has even participated in the gory interrogation. This act absolutely gained the killer's trust. When Nika begged to torture John alone, the killer gave over his weapon without hesitation. Nika, on the other hand, attacked the killer the following second. Despite the fact that both Nika and John were gravely hurt, they killed the killer in the hospital while Nika was still recovering. She met the general, who was her uncle's supervisor. Nika was perplexed and pondering how to explain everything. The general stated that he was John's informant. The general's wife, it turned out, had also aspired to be a dancer, but because he had insulted some Russian officials, the organization refused to provide medical support when she became very ill, culminating in her untimely death. As a result, the general was forced to join the U.S. team. Nika's position has already become extremely serious. Nika's true identity should be revealed, and he should sacrifice himself to protect Nika, according to the general. Nika will acquire the Russians' complete trust in this manner. She'll assume his place and continue to work as a double agent. He is confident that Nika will outperform him. Nika called her mother to check her safety after saying goodbye to John, who was still sleeping. She entered the embassy with determination and met with the director of the Intelligence Bureau. Nika claimed she could expose the informant's genuine identity if she could reclaim her liberty. Nika was transported to the airport by the U.S. side later that evening. In exchange for Nika, the Russians took the informant Nika gave. Nika had finally betrayed himself, and John couldn't believe it, but Nika didn't say much. And when the Russians removed the informant's hood, this man was Nika's uncle, not a general. Nika's mouth lifted in an inconspicuous smile when they glanced at each other. John realized what was going on and exclaimed that his uncle was their informant. Mika had been quietly arranging everything all these days. She grabbed the cup from John's house and hid it in Uncle's room. She agreed to be turned when she accepted to be turned. She offered $250,000 as a reward. It wasn't even in her own account. She simply took her uncle's coat and recalled his ID number with this ID number at first. She made a bank account in her uncle's name and utilized it to acquire $250,000 from the U.S. government. All of these hints rendered the uncle defenseless. He already knew his fate because the Russians would never let him go without a fight. A sniper from the shadows shot and killed Uncle a few seconds later, and Nika returned to Russia to live with her mother. For uncovering the so-called informant, she received the greatest accolade. But there was always an empty spot in Nika's heart that would belong to John, who couldn't go on. That's the end of today's video. Don't forget to subscribe with notifications on. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.